I'm Elena, 34, and my world changed when Dad passed 3 years ago. Our once tight-knit family of four fractured when his stabilizing presence disappeared. Mom and my brother Jake tried holding things together, while my sister Amanda's selfish nature flourished unchecked. Now I'm emptying my savings to cover Jake's kidney treatments, while Amanda shows up demanding our family home. The betrayal cuts deeper than I ever imagined possible. Before I dive into this heartbreaking story, let me know where you're watching from and hit subscribe to join our community. I never thought sharing family burdens would become such a battle. Our family home sat on a quiet street in suburban Chicago with a maple tree Dad planted the year I was born. William Harris. My father built that house with his own hands before starting his construction business. Growing up middle class, we never had extravagant things, but we never lacked what mattered either. Dad was our emotional cornerstone. When Mom struggled with anxiety, Dad knew exactly when to bring home her favorite daisies. When Jake was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at age 11, Dad learned everything about insulin management, even attending doctor appointments with detailed questions scribbled in his pocket notebook. When I doubted myself before college interviews, Dad drove me around our neighborhood at dawn, giving the kind of advice that stays with you for life. Only Amanda seemed to resist his guidance. My younger sister was beautiful, charismatic, and knew it from an early age. While Jake and I inherited Dad's practical nature, Amanda took after Mom's side with striking features and a flair for drama. Dad always said Amanda had champagne taste on a beer budget, but he managed her expectations with firm kindness. Sunday dinners were sacred in our household. Dad insisted we sit together regardless of teenage social calendars or work commitments. Mom would prepare roast chicken while Dad handled the mashed potatoes, his specialty, despite his massive hands being better suited for construction work than delicate cooking. Jake usually set the table while I helped with vegetables. Amanda's contribution was minimal, usually just bringing ice water to the table, but Dad never pushed her to do more, believing she'd grow into responsibility. Every summer, we'd pack our aging minivan for a 2-week camping trip to Wisconsin. Dad would wake us before sunrise, his excitement palpable as he checked fishing gear and coolers. Those trips weren't luxurious, but they created our strongest bonds. Even Amanda enjoyed them, though she complained about mosquitoes and limited mirror access. Dad somehow convinced her the starlit lake was nature's most flattering mirror. At the construction company, Dad employed 30 people by the time I finished high school. Despite the business success, our lifestyle remained modest. Dad drove the same truck for 15 years, and our biggest splurge was sending Jake and me to college without loans. Amanda attended fashion school in Chicago, living at home to save money, though she frequently lamented not going to New York or Paris. Dad's wisdom guided all our major decisions. When I considered dropping out of business school during a difficult semester, he didn't lecture me about perseverance. Instead, he took me to visit 3 of his construction sites in one day, introducing me to employees whose lives had improved through steady work. The lesson about responsibility and impact was clear without him spelling it out. Jake inherited Dad's patience and work ethic, but struggled with health complications from diabetes. Dad never treated him differently, instead teaching him resilience through example. When Jake's high school girlfriend broke up with him because she couldn't handle dating someone with a chronic illness, Dad took him fishing overnight, and Jake returned with a new perspective about people who couldn't weather life's storms. Mom Sarah was the family's emotional heart, but avoided confrontation at all costs. Her parents had fought bitterly throughout her childhood before a messy divorce, leaving her with a deep aversion to conflict. Dad balanced her tendency to yield with his gentle firmness, creating stability for all of us. Their partnership worked because they recognized and compensated for each other's blind spots. Amanda's entitlement appeared early. At 8, she threw a tantrum when her birthday cake wasn't the exact shade of pink she wanted. At 13, she borrowed Mom's anniversary necklace to impress friends and lost it. At 16, she wrecked her first car within weeks and expected an immediate replacement. Each time, Dad intervened with consequences that were fair but firm. He'd say, "The world won't bend for you, Amanda. You need to learn to bend with it." Despite these challenges, there was genuine love in our family. During my college graduation dinner, Amanda surprised everyone by giving a heartfelt toast about being proud of her big sister. When Jake landed his first accounting job despite health challenges, Amanda helped him shop for professional clothes with actual enthusiasm. These glimpses of her better nature gave us hope. Dad and I shared a special connection through our interest in architecture. Every other Saturday, we'd visit new buildings around Chicago, discussing design elements and structural choices. These excursions were just for us creating space away from Amanda's demands and Jake's health concerns. During these trips, Dad occasionally mentioned his wishes for our inheritance, emphasizing that money was meant to secure our futures, not fund temporary pleasures. At the time, these conversations seemed unnecessarily serious, but I'd soon understand their importance. Everything changed on an ordinary Tuesday in March. Dad called from work, voice strained, saying he needed to see his doctor about persistent back pain. 2 days later, we gathered in our living room as he told us the diagnosis: stage 4 pancreatic cancer that had already spread to his liver and lungs. The 6 to 8 month prognosis crashed through our family like a wrecking ball. Mom collapsed into silent tears while Jake asked practical questions about treatment options. I mentally calculated work leave and financial considerations. Amanda just stared blankly before asking if he would still make her student loan payment that month. The question earned her sharp looks from Jake and me, but Dad simply assured her everything would be taken care of. The first weeks after diagnosis brought an unexpected family unity. Mom researched alternative therapies alongside conventional treatment. Jake reorganized his work schedule to drive Dad to appointments. I took extended leave from my marketing job to help manage the construction business. Even Amanda showed up for the first few chemotherapy sessions, bringing fashion magazines to distract Dad from the chemicals dripping into his veins. Dad's business partners offered to buy his share, providing financial security for Mom, but Dad refused. "This company supports 30 families," he told me during a rare moment alone. "I need to know it continues, even if I don't." Instead, he accelerated my training in operations management, preparing me to step in temporarily during his illness. As summer approached, the chemotherapy's toll became visible. Dad lost 40 pounds from his formerly robust frame. His thick hair thinned until he finally asked Jake to shave it completely. "Better bald by choice than by chemistry," he joked weakly. Throughout the physical changes, his determination never wavered. By July, Amanda's hospital visits became sporadic. When Mom gently questioned her absence, Amanda exploded, "Do you know how depressing hospitals are? I can't focus on my design portfolio with all this negativity." Jake nearly shouted at her, but Dad raised a hand, stopping the argument before it escalated. Later, he told me, "Everyone processes grief differently. Amanda's always needed to protect herself from pain." August brought a brief rally that felt like hope. Dad regained enough strength to supervise one final project, a community playground his company donated to our neighborhood. Seeing him inspect lumber quality and adjust blueprint details, we allowed ourselves to imagine recovery was possible. That fantasy collapsed when he fainted on site and spent 3 days in intensive care. By September, hospice nurses joined our household. Dad insisted on facing death at home, surrounded by the walls he'd built. The construction business stabilized under my temporary leadership, though I felt like an imposter in his office. Jake maintained the financial records with meticulous care despite increasing concerns about his own health. Mom slept on a cot beside Dad's hospital bed in the converted dining room, waking at each labored breath. Amanda visited weekly, usually for less than an hour. Each visit followed the same pattern: awkward small talk, complaints about her own life challenges, then a hasty departure citing vague obligations. Dad never criticized her limited presence, instead treasuring whatever time she offered. October brought Dad's final decline. Lucid moments became precious islands amid confusion and pain. During one such moment, he asked to speak privately with each of us. With Mom, a 40-minute conversation left them both tearful, but somehow peaceful. With Jake, a discussion about health management and finding joy despite physical limitations. When my turn came, Dad gripped my hand with surprising strength. "The business is stable now," he whispered. "You've done everything I hoped. But Elena, the company isn't your dream. Use what comes to you for that marketing agency you've always wanted. And watch over Jake's health. Amanda will need time to mature, but she has a good heart underneath everything. Help your mother give her that time without enabling behavior that hurts Amanda herself." I never learned what he told Amanda during their private conversation. She emerged from his room with mascara streaks and refused to speak to anyone driving away immediately. She returned 2 days later as if nothing had happened, bringing an expensive watch for Dad that seemed more suited to her own taste than his. Dad passed on November 2nd as the last maple leaves fell from our tree. Jake and I were holding his hands while Mom stroked his forehead. Amanda was at a fashion event, arriving 20 minutes after he was gone, collapsing dramatically across his body, while photographers from her school documented the moment for a grief project. The funeral brought hundreds of people whose lives Dad had touched. Former employees, clients, neighbors, and friends filled the church beyond capacity. Dad's construction crews served as pallbearers, their calloused hands carrying him with gentle dignity. Community members shared stories about his integrity and kindness, painting a portrait of a man whose worth couldn't be measured in business success alone. During funeral planning, we experienced our first major discord. Amanda insisted on an elaborate service with custom floral arrangements and catering that would have depleted a significant portion of Mom's immediate finances. When Jake and I suggested more modest options aligned with Dad's practical nature, Amanda accused us of dishonoring his memory. Mom eventually sided with us, triggering Amanda's tearful exit from the planning session. The will reading occurred 2 weeks after the funeral. Dad's attorney Michael had been his friend since high school and handled the proceedings with compassionate efficiency. The construction company would continue under the leadership of Dad's longtime partner, with profits shared among Mom and us 3 children. The family home and its contents belonged to Mom outright. Each child received an equal inheritance structured as both immediate funds and long-term investments. Before concluding, Michael handed each of us sealed envelopes. "Your father wrote these during his final month," he explained. "He asked that you read them privately." My letter contained personal memories and encouragement about my marketing dreams. Jake later revealed his contained health management wisdom and permission to prioritize well-being over work. Amanda never mentioned her letter's contents, though I once glimpsed it crumpled in her car's footwell, apparently unread. 6 months after Dad's passing, the family he'd held together began unraveling visibly. Mom moved through the house like a ghost, maintaining daily routines, but finding little joy. Jake focused on work despite increasingly frequent sick days. I divided time between the construction company's transition and launching my marketing consultancy. Amanda changed most dramatically, but not in ways that suggested healing. While the rest of us lived modestly on inheritance funds, Amanda embraced luxury with alarming enthusiasm. Her social media featured weekend trips to New York, designer clothing purchases, and expensive restaurant meals. When Jake questioned her spending during a rare family dinner, she snapped, "Dad wanted us to enjoy life. Some of us are actually following his wishes." The comment stung particularly because Jake's medical expenses had increased substantially. His kidney function tests showed concerning results requiring additional medications and specialist consultations. Insurance covered portions, but his out-of-pocket costs mounted steadily, eating into both his income and inheritance. Mom's depression deepened as spring arrived. The garden Dad had meticulously maintained each year remained untouched. When I hired landscapers as a Mother's Day gift, Mom thanked me tearfully, but admitted, "It doesn't feel like home without him tending the plants." She'd lost 20 pounds from her already slim frame and rarely left the house except for necessary errands. I tried maintaining family connections through Sunday dinners, continuing Dad's tradition. Jake attended faithfully despite fatigue. Mom made efforts to prepare meals, though her heart wasn't in it. Amanda came sporadically, usually arriving late with dramatic stories about work challenges or romantic complications, absorbing all attention before departing early for important networking events. The first major family argument erupted at Thanksgiving. Mom had spent 2 days preparing Dad's traditional menu, including his secret recipe stuffing. When Amanda arrived 3 hours late with a new boyfriend named Taylor in tow, the tension was already simmering. During dinner, she casually mentioned her upcoming trip to Paris. "Another vacation?" Jake asked, unable to hide his disapproval. "That's your 3rd international trip this year." "It's not a vacation, it's fashion research," Amanda retorted. "Not all of us want to live boring, limited lives." "Some of us don't have choices about limitations," Jake said quietly, unconsciously touching the medical alert bracelet on his wrist. Amanda rolled her eyes. There you go again, playing the sick card whenever anyone questions your life choices. Mom dropped her fork with uncharacteristic force. Amanda apologized to your brother. For what? Telling the truth. Dad left us all equal shares, but Jake acts like he deserves special treatment because of his health issues. Amanda turned to her boyfriend. Taylor, can you believe this family guilt trip? Taylor, looking uncomfortable, murmured something non-committal while studying his plate. I noticed his designer watch and custom suit, wondering about his actual income versus apparent lifestyle. Nobody's asking for special treatment, I interjected. But Dad always taught us to consider each other's circumstances. Dad's not here, Amanda said flatly. And Mom won't be living in this massive house forever. Taylor and I were just saying how perfect this place would be once renovated. The location alone makes it worth a fortune. Mom's face drained of color. This is still my home, Amanda. Your father built it for our family. And families evolve, Amanda replied smoothly. You could get a nice condo, much more manageable for a single woman your age. This place is wasted on you. Jake stood abruptly. I'm not feeling well. Mom, dinner was wonderful, thank you. He left without further comment, the front door closing softly behind him. The dinner dissolved after that, with Amanda and Taylor departing for a club opening while Mom retreated to her bedroom. I cleaned the kitchen alone, finding Dad's handwritten stuffing recipe card and crying over the familiar handwriting. December brought fresh challenges when Jake lost his accounting position after too many health-related absences. His company offered a modest severance package with temporary health insurance continuation, but the timing couldn't have been worse. His most recent medical tests indicated progressive kidney damage requiring aggressive intervention. Family traditions disappeared one by one. No Christmas tree appeared in the living room window. No New Year's game night materialized. Dad's birthday in January passed without acknowledgement beyond Mom placing fresh flowers beside his photograph. The invisible threads that had bound us were snapping under the weight of his absence. My marketing consultancy gained traction, bringing both financial stability and 14-hour workdays. The distance between client meetings and family obligations stretched my emotional resources thin. Each time I visited Mom, the house felt emptier despite her physical presence. Each time I checked on Jake, his increasing health struggles worried me more. In February, Amanda called an impromptu family meeting at Mom's house. She arrived with glossy printouts of luxury condominiums. I've been researching options for you, Mom, she announced without preamble. This building has amazing amenities and security, perfect for your next chapter. I'm not ready to leave this home, Mom responded, her voice small but determined. Amanda sighed dramatically. It's been almost a year, Mom. Holding on to this place is holding you back from healing. Plus, the equity could be better utilized. Dad would want you to be practical. I noticed she'd brought real estate market analyses along with the condo brochures. Her invocation of Dad's practicality while eyeing his property as an investment opportunity made my stomach turn. Just after the 1-year anniversary of Dad's death, Jake called me at 2 a.m. His voice was alarmingly weak. I need to go to the hospital. Can you drive me? When I arrived at his apartment, I found him curled on the bathroom floor, unable to stand independently. The emergency room doctor confirmed our fears: acute kidney failure requiring immediate hospitalization. For 3 days, Jake underwent dialysis while specialists assessed his condition. The prognosis was serious, but not hopeless with proper treatment, including specialized medication, dietary management, and possibly eventual transplantation. He could stabilize. However, even with insurance, the out-of-pocket costs would exceed $50,000 annually. I called a family meeting at the hospital cafeteria to discuss financial options. Mom arrived immediately bringing homemade soup Jake probably couldn't eat, but representing her need to provide comfort. Amanda appeared an hour late, designer sunglasses perched on her head despite the fluorescent hospital lighting. Jake needs significant financial help, I explained, presenting the medical cost projections. His insurance covers about 60%, but the remainder is beyond his current means, especially without employment. Mom immediately offered her retirement savings, which I gently discouraged. You need that for your future, Mom. We need another solution. What about selling the business? Amanda suggested. Dad's company must be worth millions by now. I shook my head. The partnership agreement prevents that for another 4 years. Dad structured it to protect the employees long term. Well, I can't help financially, Amanda declared. I'm investing everything in building my fashion brand. It's finally gaining traction with some minor celebrities. I studied my sister, noting her Gucci handbag and the distinctive red soles of her Louboutin heels. You've spent more on your wardrobe this year than Jake needs for medical care. Amanda bristled. That's business investment. I have to look successful to be successful. Anyway, Jake should have been more responsible with his inheritance instead of whatever he wasted it on. Medical expenses, Jake said quietly from the doorway where he stood leaning on an IV pole. None of us had noticed his arrival. I wasted it on staying alive. His hospital gown and gaunt appearance contrasted sharply with Amanda's polished presence. That's not what I meant, Amanda backpedaled unconvincingly. But everyone has problems. I have massive student loans from fashion school. Which Dad paid off before he died, I reminded her. Mom intervened as she always did when conflict threatened. We'll figure something out. Family helps family. After contemplating options, I made a decision. For years, I'd saved toward opening my own marketing agency with a physical office rather than working as a consultant. That dream would need to wait. My inheritance and savings would cover Jake's medical expenses for at least 2 years, hopefully long enough for him to recover and regain employment with benefits. When I announced this plan, Mom hugged me tearfully. Jake protested, unwilling to accept such sacrifice, but eventually relented when I framed it as a loan he could repay gradually once recovered. Amanda's reaction was explosive. "You're throwing away your inheritance on temporary expenses," she practically shouted. "That's financially irresponsible. Dad would be disappointed in both of you." "Dad would help his son survive," I replied evenly. "You know that's true." "What I know," Amanda hissed, "is that you've always been the perfect daughter while painting me as the villain. Now you get to play savior while making me look selfish for investing in my future." "No one's trying to make you look like anything," Jake interjected weakly. "This is about survival, not appearances." Amanda gathered her designer belongings. "When your fashion line becomes worth millions, don't come asking for investments," she told me before storming out. Later that evening, as I sat beside Jake's hospital bed, he confessed, "I considered refusing treatment. The financial burden, the ongoing struggle, sometimes it seems easier to just stop fighting." His words terrified me more than any medical diagnosis. "Don't ever think that way. Your life matters more than money." "Does it, though?" he asked softly. "Amanda clearly has different values. Maybe Dad did too deep down." I pulled Dad's letter from my purse, the one he'd written during his final days. Finding the relevant paragraph, I read aloud, "Take care of Jake's health without robbing him of independence. Money is replenishable. Time with those you love isn't." Jake wiped away tears. "I miss him so much. He'd know how to handle Amanda without creating this family rift." "We'll figure it out," I promised, though uncertainty gnawed at my confidence. Dad prepared us better than we realize. The doctor's warnings about Jake's prognosis were clear. Without consistent treatment, his kidney function would continue declining, eventually requiring dialysis or transplantation. With proper care, he might regain enough function to lead a relatively normal life. The financial sacrifice of my business dreams seemed small compared to the alternative. Almost 2 years after Dad's death, Mom called sounding uncharacteristically anxious. "Amanda's coming over to discuss something important. Can you be here?" When I arrived, I found Mom sorting through old photographs at the kitchen table. "The furnace made strange noises last night," she explained distractedly. "The plumbing in the upstairs bathroom is leaking again, too. Your father always handled those things." The house was showing signs of deferred maintenance that Mom's limited skills and income couldn't address. Though she'd never complain, I sensed the property was becoming a burden rather than a comfort. Still, it remained her strongest connection to Dad and our family history. Amanda arrived driving a new BMW convertible. Taylor accompanied her along with another man carrying a leather portfolio whom she introduced as Darren Taylor's friend who works in real estate. Alarm bells immediately rang in my mind. After minimal small talk, Amanda revealed her purpose. "Mom, I've given this significant thought. You're struggling to maintain this house and it's becoming unsafe for you to manage alone. Mom began to protest, but Amanda continued smoothly. I'm not suggesting you sell to strangers. I want to buy the house myself. Taylor and I need a proper home to start our lives together. You want to buy your mother's home? I clarified, stunned by her audacity. It's a practical solution, Amanda insisted. Mom gets financial security and freedom from maintenance headaches. The house stays in the family. Everyone wins. Darren opened his portfolio, revealing market analyses and purchase agreement drafts. The neighborhood has appreciated significantly. It's an excellent investment opportunity, and we're prepared to offer market value. His tone suggested we should be grateful for such generosity. This is my home, Mom said quietly. Your father built it for us. And now it's an asset sitting unused, Amanda countered. 3 bedrooms for one person is wasteful. Dad was practical above all else. He'd see the logic in this. Where would Mom go? I asked, working to keep my voice level. Amanda waved dismissively. There are lovely condominiums near the lake, much more suitable for her lifestyle now. Mom's hands trembled slightly as she closed the photo album. I need time to think about this. Of course, Amanda agreed magnanimously. But the market's moving quickly. Other buyers would probably offer above asking price given the location. The implied threat hung in the air, refuse me, and I'll encourage you to sell to strangers instead. I recognized the manipulation tactic and suspected Mom did too. After they departed, Mom confessed her conflicted feelings. The house is becoming difficult to maintain alone. Your father always handled everything. But the thought of leaving... It's your decision, I assured her. But don't let Amanda pressure you. There are other options if maintenance is the primary concern. Later that week, Amanda returned alone, her approach shifting from businesslike to emotional. This house should stay in the family, she insisted, eyes brimming with calculated tears. I'm the only one who can preserve Dad's legacy properly. Elena's focused on Jake's medical issues and you deserve retirement freedom. When Mom remained non-committal, Amanda's facade cracked. I need this house, she admitted. Taylor's family expects certain standards. My career demands an impressive address for client meetings. This location would transform my business opportunities. Your father built this for our family, not for business advancement, Mom replied with unusual firmness. Amanda's expression hardened. If you don't sell to me, I'll consider it a personal rejection. After everything I've been through losing Dad, you'd deny me this connection to him. The emotional manipulation was breathtaking in its transparency. Dad would have called it Amanda's nuclear option, weaponizing guilt when logical arguments failed. Mom, always conflict avoidant, began wavering under the emotional assault. Perhaps we should discuss what price would be fair, I interrupted gently. Mom, you don't need to decide anything today. Let's talk more when Jake can join the conversation too. Amanda's eyes flashed. Jake? This doesn't concern him. He's too sick to maintain property anyway. He's still family, I reminded her. This decision affects everyone. Fine, Amanda snapped, gathering her designer purse. Talk to Jake. But remember, if you sell to outsiders instead of family, that's a choice you'll have to live with. After she left, Mom collapsed into tears. Am I being selfish keeping this house when it could help Amanda's future? No, I assured her, hugging her thin shoulders. Wanting to stay in your home isn't selfish, and if you ever decide to sell it, should be on your terms, not Amanda's. That evening, during my regular visit to Jake's apartment with groceries, I explained the situation. His health had stabilized with treatment, though full recovery remained distant. His response surprised me. Maybe Mom should consider downsizing, he suggested thoughtfully. But Amanda's approach seems more about entitlement than genuine concern for Mom's well-being. Exactly, I agreed. If Mom wants to make a change, we support her. But Amanda's acting like she deserves the house as some birthright. Jake smiled sadly. Remember when Dad caught Amanda taking money from his wallet? She wasn't apologetic about the action, just angry about being caught. Some patterns never change, I observed. But she's gotten better at disguising them. 1 month after her initial house demand, Amanda escalated the situation dramatically. She arrived at Mom's house on a Sunday morning with Taylor Darren and a new addition, an older man introduced as Gregory Taylor's uncle, who happens to be an attorney. Mom had invited Jake and me for breakfast, creating an unexpectedly complete family gathering. Jake's improved color testified to his medical treatment's effectiveness, though he still tired easily. When Amanda saw him at the table, her momentary surprise quickly transformed into strategic calculation. Gregory placed a document folder on the table without preamble. "I've drafted a purchase agreement reflecting fair market value for the property," he announced with officious confidence. "Given Sarah's advanced age and the property's maintenance challenges, this represents an extremely generous offer." Mom blinked in confusion. "Advanced age? I'm only 63? I opened the folder, scanning the document with growing alarm. The generous offer was significantly below market value, with contingencies that would reduce the final payment further. "This is predatory," I stated flatly, sliding the document toward Gregory, "and inappropriate to present without Mom's own representation present." Amanda leaned forward, addressing Mom directly while ignoring Jake and me. "Mom, this house is becoming dangerous for you. The furnace, the plumbing, the roof. Dad would be heartbroken seeing his handiwork deteriorate because you can't maintain it." "Don't invoke Dad to manipulate Mom," Jake said quietly, his calm tone contrasting with the anger in his eyes. Taylor, previously silent, surprisingly spoke up. "Amanda believes this arrangement benefits everyone. Your mother gets financial security without maintenance burdens. The family home stays within the family." If family connection is the priority, I challenged, why the formal legal approach rather than a conversation? "Because some family members interfere with practical solutions," Amanda snapped, glaring at me. "I'm offering security while you're draining your resources on temporary medical expenses." The direct attack on Jake's healthcare needs silenced the room. Mom's expression shifted from confusion to unexpected resolve. "Amanda," she said firmly, "this is still my home. If I decide to sell someday, all my children will be part of that conversation, not just you. So you're choosing them over me. Again." Amanda's voice vibrated with accusation. "It's always been that way. Elena, the responsible one. Jake, the one needing protection. What about my needs?" "No one's choosing sides," Mom insisted. "But this approach feels coercive rather than caring." Amanda stood abruptly. "I've tried reasoning with all of you. Either sell me this house or I'm cutting contact with this family entirely." The ultimatum hung in the air like a thunderclap. Mom paled but remained silent. Jake reached for her hand across the table. "You don't mean that," I said finally. "Family disagreements don't necessitate complete disconnection." "This isn't a disagreement. It's a rejection of my needs while prioritizing everyone else's," Amanda declared. "I've made myself clear. The house, or I'm no longer your daughter or sister." She gestured for her entourage to follow her exit. After their departure, Mom sat motionless at the table. "She can't possibly mean that," she whispered. "Not over a house." "It's not about the house," Jake observed wisely. "It's about control and getting her way." Later that week, while dropping off groceries for Mom, I discovered disturbing information in the mail pile. Credit card offers and loan advertisements addressed to Amanda still occasionally arrived at Mom's house. One envelope had torn open, revealing a collection notice for an outstanding balance exceeding $30,000. Further investigation uncovered similar notices, suggesting Amanda's luxurious lifestyle far exceeded her actual income. The revelation contextualized her desperate house demand. She likely needed the property's equity to address mounting debt. The fashion brand she constantly referenced showed minimal online presence despite her claims of growing success. Meanwhile, her social media showcased an increasingly lavish lifestyle that now appeared to be financed through unsustainable debt. Jake's health took another concerning turn that same week, with hospitalization for an infection that his compromised immune system struggled to fight. The additional medical bills reinforced my commitment to supporting his treatment, though my savings diminished faster than anticipated. While organizing Dad's office during Jake's hospitalization, Mom discovered a box of family letters Dad had preserved. Among them were messages he'd written to each of us during significant life moments, but never delivered. One addressed to Amanda on her 16th birthday particularly stood out. Amanda, my beautiful daughter, your spirit burns so bright it sometimes blinds you to others around you. Remember that true worth isn't found in possessions or appearances, but in how you impact those who love you. Material things break or fade. Family bonds can last forever if nurtured with care. Your mother and siblings aren't obstacles to your happiness, but essential parts of it. I hope you discover this truth without painful lessons. The prophetic nature of his undelivered wisdom brought tears to our eyes. Dad had recognized Amanda's challenges long ago, attempting to guide her toward better values without crushing her spirited nature. As Mom recovered from a minor fall while alone in the house, I researched senior-friendly housing options without Amanda's knowledge. Not to pressure Mom into moving, but to understand alternatives should she ever decide the house became too burdensome. The information remained in my files available but not imposed. The situation reached breaking point 3 months after Amanda's ultimatum. True to her word, she had severed communication with the family, ignoring birthday cards and holiday invitations. Mom's attempts to reach out went unanswered or received coldly dismissive responses. The silence wore heavily on Mom, who checked her phone constantly despite the rejection. Then, without warning, Amanda appeared at Mom's door with Taylor, his lawyer Uncle Gregory, and 2 unfamiliar men who remained in a black SUV parked at the curb. Mom called me immediately, her voice shaking. I arrived within 15 minutes to find Amanda seated regally in Dad's favorite living room chair, while Mom perched anxiously on the couch edge. "Good Elaine is here too," Amanda said with artificial brightness. "Now we can resolve this situation efficiently." "What situation?" I asked, taking a protective position near Mom. Gregory opened his briefcase. "We've prepared an updated purchase offer with better terms. Additionally," he added with practiced gravity, "we've brought documentation regarding Sarah's household maintenance deficiencies that could constitute code violations." "Are you threatening my mother?" I asked incredulously. "Simply highlighting potential liability issues," Gregory replied smoothly. "The gentlemen outside are municipal inspectors willing to conduct an official assessment today." The intimidation tactic was unmistakable. Mom's hands trembled as Taylor added, "We're trying to help before these issues become public record and affect property values." Before I could respond, Jake appeared in the doorway, having let himself in through the back entrance. Despite ongoing health challenges, he stood straight, his expression calm but determined. "I thought I recognized Amanda's car," he said conversationally. "Interesting visitors you've brought, sis." Amanda's composure momentarily faltered at Jake's unexpected appearance. "This doesn't concern you." "Threats against our mother absolutely concern me," Jake replied, settling carefully beside Mom on the couch. "As do false claims about code violations." Taylor shifted uncomfortably. "No one's making threats. We're offering solutions." "By bringing fake inspectors to intimidate an elderly widow." Jake's tone remained conversational despite the damning words. "That could be construed as elder abuse under state law." Gregory interjected hastily. "These are legitimate professionals conducting a preliminary assessment." "Without credentials appointment or homeowner request," I challenged. "I believe that constitutes trespassing." Mom, drawing strength from our presence, spoke with surprising firmness. "Amanda, is this truly who you've become, using deception and threats against your own mother?" Amanda's expression hardened. "I'm using necessary tactics since reasoning failed. This house is wasted on you, and I need it." "Need or want?" Jake asked quietly. "Both," Amanda snapped. "My business requires appropriate presentation. Taylor's family expects certain standards. My credit situation demands resolution." The admission of financial pressure slipped out unintentionally, causing Taylor to glance sharply at her. Evidently, her money troubles weren't fully known even to him. "So this is about solving your debt problems," I concluded, "not concern for Mom's well-being." "It's about family property remaining with someone who can properly maintain it," Amanda insisted, though her argument had clearly weakened. Mom straightened her shoulders, channeling a strength reminiscent of Dad's unwavering resolve. "Amanda, I love you as my daughter, but I won't be bullied in my own home. William built this house for our family, not as an investment property or status symbol." Dad would want it used practically, Amanda countered desperately. Your father, Mom continued with unusual assertiveness, valued integrity above all else. These tactics dishonor his memory and the values he lived by. Taylor surprisingly stood up. Perhaps we should reconsider this approach, he suggested to Amanda. Family conflict wasn't part of our discussion. Don't you dare back out now, Amanda hissed at him before composing herself. Mom, I'm trying to help you while helping myself. Why can't you see that? Because help doesn't arrive with threats and deception, Jake said simply. Gregory, sensing the shifting dynamics, began gathering his documents. Perhaps we should continue this discussion when emotions aren't so heightened. There's nothing to continue, Mom stated with finality. My home is not for sale, especially not under these circumstances. Amanda's careful facade finally shattered completely. Fine. Keep this deteriorating museum to your perfect marriage while I drown in debt. You always loved Elena and Jake more anyway. The responsible daughter and the sick son always mattered more than me. The raw emotion behind her words silenced everyone. For the first time, I glimpsed the wounded child beneath Amanda's entitled exterior, a girl who had interpreted Dad's guidance as criticism and Mom's protection of Jake as favoritism. That's not true, Amanda, Mom whispered. We've always loved you equally, just differently based on your needs. My needs never mattered, Amanda shouted, tears streaking her carefully applied makeup. Elena got business encouragement. Jake got health support. What did I get except criticism about being too materialistic, too dramatic, too much? Taylor touched her arm gently. Amanda, perhaps we should go. She shrugged him off violently. Of course you're abandoning me too. Everyone always does when I actually need them. The emotional outburst shocked everyone, especially Taylor, who exchanged uncomfortable glances with his uncle. The facade of sophisticated business negotiation had crumbled into raw family dysfunction before their eyes. I approached Amanda carefully. Your needs do matter, but this approach hurts everyone, including you. Don't pretend you care now, she snarled through tears. You're emptying your savings for Jake while leaving me to drown. Some sister you are. Jake spoke softly from the couch. Amanda, do you remember when I was hospitalized at 16? You stayed overnight in that uncomfortable hospital chair telling me stories to distract me from pain. That girl is still part of you. Amanda's expression flickered between anger and vulnerability. For a moment, reconciliation seemed possible, then her walls visibly reconstructed. That girl grew up and learned no one helps unless you force them, she declared coldly. Consider all family ties severed, permanently. She gathered her belongings and stormed out, Taylor and Gregory awkwardly following. The men in the SUV departed without ever approaching the house, confirming our suspicion they weren't actual inspectors. The attempted intimidation left Mom physically shaking once they'd gone. Did I just lose my daughter? She asked brokenly. No. I assured her, though uncertainty clouded my conviction. She's hurt and desperate right now. This isn't the end, Jake added wisely. Amanda needs to work through her own issues. We can't fix them for her, especially when she uses them as weapons. Mom nodded slowly. Your father would be heartbroken seeing his family fractured like this. But he'd understand we tried our best, I reminded her. And he'd know Amanda's door remains open when she's ready to enter without demands. As I helped Mom to bed that night, the weight of our broken family pressed heavily on my shoulders. Had I pushed too hard against Amanda's demands, could compromise have prevented complete estrangement? The questions haunted me despite logical justifications for our boundaries. 6 months passed without contact from Amanda. Mom finally decided to sell the family home not from pressure, but practical recognition of its growing maintenance challenges. The decision came with emotional difficulty, but surprising peace once made. Your father built this house for living, not as a shrine, she explained while we sorted through decades of family possessions. The memories travel with us, not the structure. Rather than purchasing a condominium, Mom chose a charming 2-bedroom bungalow nearer to Jake and me. The smaller property suited her needs while maintaining independence. The sale proceeds secured her retirement with surplus funds invested for future healthcare needs. Jake's health stabilized with consistent treatment. Though permanent damage remained, he adapted to limitations while focusing on abilities. A remote accounting position accommodated his medical appointments while utilizing his professional skills. The flexible arrangement reduced stress that had previously exacerbated his condition. My marketing consultancy continued growing, though the dream of a physical agency remained deferred. The sacrifice felt worthwhile seeing Jake's improved health and Mom's security. Dad would have made the same choice without hesitation. We created new family traditions adapted to our changed circumstances. Sunday dinners rotated between our homes. Monthly game nights replaced annual camping trips. Mom joined a widow's support group that gradually evolved into a social circle, introducing her to community theater and volunteer opportunities. Then, a plain white envelope arrived at Mom's new address containing a brief handwritten note from Amanda. Considering recent changes in circumstances, I'm open to limited communication. Coffee at Riverside Cafe, Tuesday, 2 p.m. The message prompted family discussion about boundaries and expectations. She'll likely have an agenda, Jake warned from experience. Be prepared for manipulation tactics. But this is an opening, Mom countered hopefully. A chance to rebuild something. I agreed to accompany Mom to the meeting, providing support while managing expectations. We listen first, react second, I suggested. Understanding her perspective doesn't require accepting inappropriate behavior. Amanda arrived at the cafe precisely on time, her appearance noticeably less polished than previously. Designer accessories were absent, replaced by more modest alternatives. Taylor was nowhere in sight. After awkward greetings and small talk about weather, Amanda offered what passed for an apology in her emotional vocabulary. My approach regarding the house was perhaps overly aggressive. Mom reached for her hand. We've missed you regardless of disagreements. Amanda withdrew her hand subtly. I've been reflecting on family dynamics. While I maintain you favored Elena and Jake, I acknowledge my methods were counterproductive. The qualified non-apology might have disappointed Mom, but she accepted it graciously. We all contributed to misunderstandings. Moving forward matters more than assigning blame. Speaking of moving forward, Amanda segued predictably. I'm exploring new business opportunities requiring initial investment. Since you profited substantially from the house sale, and there it was, the agenda behind reconciliation. I felt Mom deflate beside me, but interjected before disappointment overwhelmed her. Amanda, we're here to rebuild relationship, not discuss financial transactions. I stated firmly but gently. Amanda's expression hardened momentarily before she regained composure. Family helps family, isn't that what Mom always says? Jake received significant support for his health issues. Medical necessity differs from business investment, I reminded her. But more importantly, relationship needs rebuilding before any financial discussions become appropriate. So nothing's changed, Amanda concluded bitterly. Still the outsider looking in while the golden children receive support. Mom spoke with quiet dignity. What's changed is my understanding that enabling harmful patterns doesn't help anyone, including you. I love you unconditionally, Amanda. But love doesn't mean financing unhealthy choices. Amanda appeared genuinely surprised by Mom's uncharacteristic firmness. For years, Mom had avoided conflict at any cost, particularly with her most volatile child. This new boundary setting represented significant personal growth. I see, Amanda replied stiffly. Well, thank you for clarifying family priorities. As she gathered her purse to leave, Mom added, Your room in my new home is prepared whenever you want to visit. No conditions, no expectations, just family reconnection if you're interested. The offer of relationship without financial strings clearly confused Amanda, whose transactional approach to family had deep roots. She departed with vague promises about future contact that we recognized as non-committal. Walking home, Mom sighed heavily. That didn't go as I'd hoped. It went exactly as it needed to, I reassured her. You offered love with healthy boundaries. The rest is Amanda's choice. A week later, an unexpected development arrived through family friend Margaret, who'd known us since childhood. She'd encountered Amanda at a job interview for an administrative position at Margaret's accounting firm. Amanda seemed genuinely humbled, Margaret reported during our monthly book club gathering. She mentioned relationship difficulties but took responsibility for her part. When I asked about her fashion business, she admitted it had failed due to financial mismanagement. The information provided context for Amanda's renewed contact and financial requests. More surprisingly, Margaret added, "She spoke about your family with genuine affection, especially your father. There's hurt there, but not hatred." This glimpse into Amanda's private thoughts offered hope, despite the cafe meeting's disappointing outcome. People rarely changed quickly, particularly those with Amanda's deeply entrenched patterns. But change remained possible with time and consequences as teachers. 2 weeks later, Jake spotted Amanda at the hospital during his regular treatment. She was accompanying an elderly woman who appeared to be a relative of Taylor's based on Jake's description. Though they made eye contact across the waiting room, neither approached the other. Still, Amanda nodded acknowledgement, a tiny gesture representing potential thawing. The following month, Mom received a birthday card from Amanda containing no requests or accusations, just a simple message, "Thinking of you today, Amanda." The modest reconnection brought tears to Mom's eyes despite its brevity. These small interactions suggested Amanda's journey continued independently from ours. Whether genuine growth or temporary behavior modification remained unclear, but we maintained cautious optimism while protecting necessary boundaries. I began my delayed agency plans, finally renting modest office space and hiring 2 junior associates. The business grew steadily based on reputation, rather than flashy premises or artificial appearances values Dad had exemplified throughout his career. Jake underwent evaluation for a kidney transplant waitlist, bringing both hope and anxiety about future health challenges. Throughout medical appointments and testing procedures, he maintained the quiet determination inherited from Dad. Mom flourished in her new home and community involvements, gradually rediscovering joy after prolonged grief. Photos of Dad remained prominent in her living room, but alongside new images capturing current happiness rather than solely preserving memories. One ordinary Tuesday, Mom called with surprising news. Amanda had visited unannounced, bringing simple daisies, Mom's favorite flowers that Dad had always given during difficult times. "We just talked," Mom reported with wonder. "No demands, no accusations. She asked about Jake's health and your business. Actually listened to answers. When leaving, she hugged me voluntarily for the first time since your father's funeral." The transformation seemed almost too dramatic to trust, yet small, consistent actions over subsequent weeks suggested genuine change beginning. Amanda accepted dinner invitations without dominating conversation. She inquired about Jake's treatment with apparent sincerity. She commented positively about my agency's growth without comparative references to her own situation. During a private lunch with just Amanda and me, I carefully asked what prompted the behavioral shift. She considered the question thoughtfully before answering. "Hitting bottom financially while simultaneously losing Taylor showed me where my priorities led. He left when my spending damaged his credit. Suddenly, everyone I'd cultivated for status disappeared when status evaporated." The admission contained vulnerability previously hidden beneath defensive layers. She continued reflectively. "I found Dad's final letter while packing my apartment after downsizing. Actually read it this time. His words about measuring wealth through relationships finally made sense when I had neither money nor relationships remaining. Trust rebuilds more slowly than it breaks." Our family healing progressed through small interactions rather than dramatic reconciliations. Amanda joined Sunday dinners occasionally, gradually increasing frequency. Mom invited her for overnight visits that sometimes extended to weekends. Jake shared medical updates that Amanda received with appropriate concern rather than competitive comparison. Dad would have recognized this gradual restoration as the strongest approach building sustainable connection rather than temporary emotional bridges. His wisdom continued guiding us, even in absence. The most profound lesson emerged slowly. Family worth transcends inheritance dollars. The legacy that mattered wasn't financial distribution, but values, transmission integrity, compassion, resilience, and forgiveness balanced with accountability. Amanda will likely always battle materialistic tendencies and insecurity. Jake will always manage health challenges requiring support. Mom will always miss Dad while building new experiences. I will always balance caregiving instincts against enabling behaviors. None of us are perfect, but we're learning to be perfectly imperfect together. Family healing rarely follows convenient narratives with neat resolutions. Instead, it pursues jagged paths with occasional backsliding alongside progress. Our story continues evolving through choices made daily to prioritize relationship over resentment boundaries, over abandonment, and love over ledgers. Dad's voice echoes in memory during difficult decisions. The greatest inheritance isn't what I leave you, but what you build together after I'm gone. Has your family experienced similar challenges with inheritance or difficult siblings? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. Sometimes sharing our journeys helps others navigate their own family complexities. If this resonated with you, please subscribe and hit the like button so more people can find support through shared experiences. Thank you for listening to my story. Remember that family healing is rarely perfect, but always worth pursuing when possible.